Hello and welcome to a new series. We are going to be playing Victoria 2 Heart of Darkness pretty clearly, and we are using the New Nations mod, which, as you might guess from the name, adds a lot of new nations to the map. A lot of new nations down here in Africa. We have extra nations in Europe, for example, Schleswig-Holstein as an independent nation. Well, not really independent, I think they're a puppet of Denmark. New nations here in Arabia. Over here in Kutai is new, for example. And there's other stuff going on in South America and elsewhere. And as well as the ones you can see on the map, there are a lot of new formable nations and releasable nations. And it also adds new events and decisions and that kind of thing, which we'll get to in due course. But we are going to be playing as one of the new nations, Massina here. And we're going to be trying to form one of the formable nations I mentioned, namely the Empire of Mali. So, at the start of the game here, we start out in a war with our neighbour Bamana, who are scarier than they look. Or less scary than they look, rather. They're quite large, but as you can see, we have twice their army at the moment. Day one here, we have an alliance offer from Futa Jalon. These guys. I guess we may as well accept. Oh, they actually do have a larger army than we could initially see, but that's fine. Let's check out our various screens here. We obviously have no factories and can't build any because we are not a civilized nation. For our budget, we're just going to put our taxes up for the moment. Leave our spending up on military. We don't have a navy or a coastline even, but just put naval spending down just in case. And I think we're going to have to lower education spending and admin spending probably, at least for a while, until we start making a reasonable amount of money. I'll leave military spending, well, I'll lower it a little bit, just for the moment. For technology, obviously, uncivilized nation, we don't get any. Politics, we are an absolute monarchy. We have the Jihadi party in power, which is fine. They have jingoism, which will help us out with justifying wars and that kind of thing. We don't really have any reason to change that anytime soon in the dim and distant future. When we're westernized and want to build factories, we can switch to the royal factory, or the royal faction for their state capitalism. So military reforms and economic reforms, we're probably going to get land reform first. We're getting a very small amount of research points because we have terrible literacy, but we can get a good boost to that from conquest, which hopefully will be relatively easy to do. We have decisions available. Now this is going to be our first goal. Found the Tukulur Empire. The conditions for this one, we have to be at peace, which is fine, have absolute monarchy, which we do. And there are 3 provinces we need, of which we start with 1, Bandiagra, but we need Segu and Niami. And if we have a look here, Segu is owned by the neighbour that we are currently at war with, so we can maybe take that. And Niami is over here, so that'll be our next target afterwards. And in fact, speaking of this war, the war goal that we have is acquire Bambara Timbuktu, which is actually just this one little region up here, which is not a huge payoff, but if we look at the Diplo map mode, we can see that we have cores on almost their entire country. So assuming we can win this war, which it's probably pretty likely that we can add additional war goals and hopefully take most of their country, which will be nice to do right off the bat there. So after we do that, our next goal is going to be to restore the Mali Empire, for which we need the 3 provinces that we need for the previous decision, and also several other ones, but we'll worry about that in the future. We should set our focus. I think we'll start encouraging clergymen, since, as I mentioned, our literacy is really bad and we'd like to get it up as quickly as possible. We don't need to worry about trade, and yeah, the war is probably going to be pretty good. We have twice their military strength. And let's see, we do have a leader. He even has attack value, which is going to be helpful. But for now, let's unpause. We'll see what our economy looks like. Probably pretty bad if I had to guess. Let it go a couple of days. Alright, maybe we're making money. We'll see how it goes. So, to the war then. Their army is headed to Sikasso. It's going to be there on the 9th. Probably try and intercept them. Yeah, we changed their mind. So they're headed up here instead. I think we will probably just try and attack them in this province. We're probably going to cross a river. But that's okay. So our general has +1 attack. We're taking -1 from the crossing. So that cancels out, but they have no commander, so we should be pretty good here. They have an adjacent army, but I don't know if they're going to reinforce. We'll see. Seems like they're not. So let's also try and intercept this other army, if we can. So we'll just go in this way. We should be able to catch them, I think. We could call in our ally to this war if we wanted to. And I think we actually will. We don't need them to help fight, but they could speed up sieging, and I'm not sure exactly how much war score we're going to have to get to attain our additional war goals, but I imagine it's going to be pretty slow, so having them to help might be a good idea. They are likely to join, so we'll see. Okay, great. So that's the last of their army wiped out for the moment. I guess we'll start sieging their capital. And our budget is pretty solidly in the red, which is bad. We can afford to reduce spending, I think, a bit for military units. We'll go to 60%. Since we shouldn't have to fight any more battles in this war, I'm going to have to reduce admin and education a bit more, I think. I would prefer not to have to take out a bunch of loans right at the start here, but if we do have to, we have to. Once we can pass land reform, that should help out considerably with the amount of money we're making. Also, taking a bunch more land will help out too, so let's try and get that done. We can actually add a war goal already, so let's do that. We'll acquire one of the cores that we have. Guess it doesn't really matter which one we do first, because we're going to add both of them, if at all possible. Allies are raising more troops. We can't afford to, or rather don't have the men to make any more troops ourselves. But hopefully gaining all of this land will let us do that a bit. So we've gained one ally. We'd probably like to gain at least one or two more, preferably strong ones. I think Ashanti is one of the stronger military powers. They have... we have to go to here to see how much... troops they have. 6 brigades, okay. Which is reasonable. We'd like to get allied with them if possible. We currently have negative relations, though. I think Sokoto is also pretty strong, but they're a little more distant, so they might be less useful to us. I think Ashanti would be ideal. And I think we can go up to at least speed 4. Alright, so this is another of the features of the New Nations mod. I think every 10 years, 1846, yeah, we get a new First Minister elected, which just gives a little modifier to our nation. So this is we're going to get Great Statesman with 50% support for the ruling party, which I don't think really affects us since we're an absolute monarchy. but reduction in infamy, extra prestige, and extra Diplo points, which is actually pretty useful because we have 0.6 Diplo points right now, but we don't gain very many. And we need them to add war goals and that kind of thing. They're kind of a scarce resource right at the early part of the game here. Okay. American slavery debate. So they have raised another little army there, which we'll probably go take care of. And in fact we can add our additional war goal already, so may as well do it. Okay, so that's all of our cores accounted for. So we should be able to take all of this land. In fact, we also have this province already, which is not a core of ours, but is their core, which is interesting, but nothing we need to worry about. Alliance offer from Wolof. Who are they? Over here. I don't think we particularly want them. We'll say no to that. And our ally is taking care of that little army, which is very nice of them. And we finished our siege. So we actually don't need a huge amount of war score for this war goal. Can't actually propose a peace yet because we don't have the Diplo points, or rather the single Diplo point that is required. But we'll see what kind of offer they would accept in just a second. Okay. So they wouldn't accept everything, but they would accept 2 out of 3, so we're probably pretty close actually. 1 or 2 more sieges should let us take care of it. War between the Russian Empire and Khiva. Okay. Gonna be cloudy and rainy next week with north and northeast winds and lowering temperatures, good to know. And Piano Cat is on tour. I saw that guy on the internet. Oh, more newspapers even. Democracy in America. So I hear. We prefer our absolute monarchies in this part of the world though. So we are at 0 treasury now, which is kind of unfortunate. I don't want to go to 0 on education and admin though. I suppose we could reduce military spending a little, see if that helps out. Oh, maybe. We were making money for a second there. Okay, we have a new upper house. A tragic city fire. Okay. In an unnamed city. It's a weird news story. Okay, 1 more siege finished by our ally there. Famine strikes state. While epidemic and widespread famine disappeared almost entirely from the Western world with the development of the modern capitalist free market system, and the extensive division of labour employed by it, combined with new advances in agricultural technologies, one of the oldest killers known to man, hunger, was still claiming victims in Europe and the Americas well into the 20th century. Primarily so, of course, among the already poor. Famine has struck one of our states, and we need to react. Not sure this should really apply to us since we're not in Europe or the Americas, but that's fine. So we can spend £31, which we do not have, to have the poor strata population changed by 4%, or we can do nothing and it'll be changed by 10% and we'll gain militancy. Well, I guess we'll just do nothing. I don't want to spend money since I don't have any. So let's see if they would... They would actually accept this already. Okay, great. So that was kind of faster than I was expecting. We'll proceed. Alright. Okay, we acquired the states that we wanted, that's fine. We're going to not extend slavery. We'd like to abolish slavery at some point in the distant future, so start on that already. Our lands returned as a result of the treaty with Massina. Some of Massina's lands are to be returned. We are, however, only entitled to those lands over which we have a claim. If you took Massina core provinces which are not also your own core provinces in this war, enacting the return option will give those lands back. So we did actually only take our core provinces, but we did have this one province that was not our core but is their core. I'm not sure if clicking the return button would give that back to them. But either way, we'll just say we'll keep everything we've gained anyway. So good, that went pretty well. We can probably reduce our spending a little bit on military just for the moment and see if we can possibly make any money at all. And let's see what kind of war we can justify against our other neighbors, Dendi. Yes, this is the special war goal we have, Sahel Jihad, which we can do to take, it looks like any province that is part of the eventual Empire of Mali. So that is really going to help us out with that goal. 10 infamy as opposed to the 11 for acquire state, but the real difference is that it takes only 76 days to fabricate, which means we have a much better chance of being able to do that without gaining a whole bunch of infamy. We'll probably do that. Before we go to war again, though, we might want to try to gain an ally. Massina in the modern age. We've seen the outsiders. They come with guns and riches, and we have never seen guns and riches we've never seen before. What they also bring is death, and we must always be wary what lies behind their smiles. Massina stands on good terms with much of the Western world, but our leaders are all too aware how quickly that could change. The Europeans believe we are not civilized, and the tone of our contact with them is slowly changing from friendly interest in trade to a strange paternalism, coupled with cultural superiority. For now, Massina survives, but we must watch for the moment when the civilized nations decide our enslavement is the only way we can be saved. Yep, we should definitely be careful about that. We need to get ourselves westernized so we can defend against the Europeans. So, any civilized nation that has lower diplo relations than 25 with us will have it increased by 50. Okay, that's nice. So let's see, what are our chances of getting an alliance with Ashanti here? They're allied with Massina already, which is interesting to note. They obviously didn't get called into that war, though. Let's see if we can increase relations. Oh, we don't have the diplo points. Let's wait a couple of months and see what happens there. But we have about probably tripled the size of our country in that first war, so that's a pretty good start. We had only these 3 regions to start with. These new ones we gained have pretty decent populations, Segu especially. Timbuktu, not too bad either. These western ones, not so good, but it all helps. No great orgios in this area either, I think. It's mostly fruit, grain, and that kind of thing, but that's okay. We have 1.9 diplo points. We're gaining them quite slowly, so I'm not sure whether it's even a good idea to spend 2 on trying to get an alliance here. And in fact, we'd be spending 2 just on raising the relations, and it would cost us even more to offer them an alliance. I don't think we really need to ally with Gabu. We'll say no to that one. War between Tigray and Gondar, which I believe is over here. Ethiopia does not start on the map in this mod, though I think you can probably form it if you start over here, which might be a fun thing to do sometime. Okay. Oh, we actually have positive relations. They must have increased relations with us. Let's see if they will form an alliance with us. They will. Excellent. Okay. Let's absolutely take that. So in fact we only had to spend 1 of our precious diplo points on that, I think. Or maybe half a point? I don't know. So we can immediately look at justifying a war here. So let's go ahead and give it a go. Hope we don't get discovered too soon. Even if we do, it's not a huge amount of infamy, so it should be okay. This is where it helps out having a jingoist party in charge, plus 30%. It looks like we're going to get away reasonably well out of this one. Yeah, great. So at most 5 infamy now, probably going to be less. And let's also check out how many research points we got from that conquest. Okay, it got us about halfway to our first goal, I think. No, less than halfway even, it's more like closer to 9,000 for land reform. Okay, so it's going to be a while before we can get that. But that's alright. Okay, it was discovered, we got 0.4 infamy. Not a big deal at all. And we have our CB. But that is going to have to wait because we're out of time. So that'll do it for this first episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please click the like button. It really helps out with search rankings, that kind of thing on YouTube. And in any case, join me again next time for more.